Paul Heyman, gone. And Seth Rollins may have just crossed a line that WWE can never come back from. What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to WWE Express, the channel where we bring you every twist, every turn, and every jaw-dropping moment from the world of professional wrestling, faster than anyone else on YouTube. If you are new here, hit that subscribe button right now, because on this channel, we do not miss a single thing. And trust me today, you absolutely cannot afford to miss what I'm about to tell you. Make sure you stay until the very end of this video, because I'm going to break down everything that happened, what it means going forward, and what this could mean for the entire future of WWE storytelling. Let's get into it. Alright, so let's take it back to Monday Night Raw. Now, for weeks the tension between Seth Rollins and the Paul Heyman camp has been building like a pressure cooker that was about to explode. You could feel it every single week. Every promo, every backstage segment, every subtle glance, it was all pointing towards something catastrophic. Seth Rollins, who has been absolutely unhinged in his recent character work, has been on this warpath that is equal parts brilliant and terrifying. The man is a generational performer, we all know that. But lately, Seth has been operating on a completely different level, a darker level. And this past Raw proved exactly that. The arena was electric from the moment the show kicked off. Fans in attendance had no idea what they were walking into. And neither, apparently, did Paul Heyman. Now let's talk about what actually went down, because the sequence of events on this episode of Raw was nothing short of masterful storytelling and also absolutely brutal to watch. Paul Heyman appeared on the stage as he so often does, commanding the room with that legendary presence of his. The man doesn't even need to say a word and the entire arena pays attention. That's just the power of Paul Heyman. Over 40 years in this business, and he still walks out there like he owns the place. Because in many ways, he does. But then the lights flickered. And that familiar, haunting entrance theme began to play. Seth Rollins emerged, and from the very first step he took down that ramp, it was clear this was not the showman Seth. This was not the colorful, theatrical, visionary Seth. This was something colder. Something calculating. What followed was one of the most vicious, deliberate, and uncomfortable segments Raw has produced in recent memory. Seth didn't come out there to cut a promo. He came out there with a purpose. And before security could properly intervene, before anyone could react, Seth Rollins laid out Paul Heyman in a way that silenced the entire arena. You could hear it. That silence. That collective gasp from thousands of fans sitting in stunned disbelief. Because Paul Heyman, for all of his genius and all of his legend, is not a young man anymore. And when he went down, he did not get back up quickly. Referees rushed out. Medical personnel followed. And the cameras brilliantly stayed on Seth Rollins' face the entire time. And what did Seth do? He smiled. He looked down at Paul Heyman on the ground, and he smiled. That image alone told you everything you needed to know about where this character is heading. Now here is where the night took a turn that absolutely no one saw coming. And I mean no one. Later in the evening, after Paul Heyman had been helped to the back and taken away in what the commentary team described as a serious medical situation, WWE official Adam Pearce appeared on screen. And Adam Pearce, to his credit, is one of the most underrated on-screen authority figures WWE has had in years. The man brings a genuine gravitas to moments like this. Pearce stood in the center of that ring, microphone in hand, and the look on his face said everything before he even opened his mouth. The crowd went completely quiet. And then he delivered the announcement. Adam Pearce, standing there in that ring, officially announced to the WWE Universe that Paul Heyman, the Wiseman, the special counsel, one of the greatest minds in the history of professional wrestling, had passed away. Now, I want to pause right here and make something very clear to everyone watching. In the world of WWE storytelling and kayfabe narrative, this announcement is a seismic moment. This is the kind of storyline development that shakes the very foundation of a show. Whether this leads to Paul Heyman's on-screen character being written off temporarily, or whether this is the setup for something even bigger down the line, this moment was designed to make your jaw drop. And it worked. The reaction in that arena? Unreal. Fans who grew up watching Paul Heyman manage some of the greatest superstars in history, from Brock Lesnar to Roman Reigns to CM Punk, those fans felt this in a very real, very emotional way. Because Paul Heyman is not just a manager. He is an institution. Let's take a moment, because I think this story deserves it, to appreciate exactly who Paul Heyman is and why this storyline carries so much weight. Paul Heyman is arguably the greatest managerial mind in the history of professional wrestling. Full stop. You can have that debate, but you're going to have a hard time making a stronger case for anyone else. This is the man who created ECW Extreme Championship Wrestling, a promotion that was so far ahead of its time that it literally changed the direction of the entire industry. The attitude and edge that you came to love in WWE during the late 90s? A significant part of the DNA came from what Paul Heyman was already doing in ECW. As a manager, the man has been the genius behind some of the most dominant runs in WWE history. He took Brock Lesnar, already a physical specimen beyond compare, and turned him into a walking apocalypse. He helped Roman Reigns evolve from a beloved fan favorite into the greatest heel the company has ever produced. He has been on the right side of history, creatively, more times than almost anyone else in this business. And on the microphone? There has never been anyone like him. Paul Heyman can make you believe absolutely anything he says. He can take the most outlandish, over-the-top claim and deliver it with such conviction that you find yourself nodding along before you even realize what's happening. That is a rare, rare gift. So when Adam Pearce walks into that ring and announces that Paul Heyman is gone, even in a storyline context, it lands. It lands. Because the emotional investment in this man is real. Now let's talk about Seth Rollins and what this all means for his story, because I think this is the part that most people are going to miss if they just focus on the surface level. Seth Rollins doing something this extreme, targeting Paul Heyman, of all people, is not random. Nothing Seth Rollins does is random. This man is arguably the best in-ring storyteller of his entire generation. He thinks 10 steps ahead. So why Paul Heyman? Why now? The answer, I believe, lies in the layers of history between Seth and the various factions and individuals that Paul Heyman has been associated with. Seth knows that if you want to send the loudest possible message, if you want to make a statement that echoes throughout the entire WWE locker room, you don't go after the biggest guy, you go after the brain. You take out the wise man. By going after Heyman, Seth Rollins has essentially declared war on an entire ecosystem. He's not just fighting one person. He's throwing a grenade into a network of alliances and relationships that Paul has spent years carefully constructing. That is either absolute genius or absolute madness. And with the current version of Seth Rollins, it might be both. The smile. I keep coming back to that smile, because that's the detail that tells the whole story. Seth Rollins smiled when Paul Heyman went down, and that image is going to haunt the storyline for a long time. That's the kind of character work that elevates a program from good to legendary. Okay, so what does this all mean going forward? Let's break it down. First, the immediate fallout. Whether WWE continues this in a kayfabe direction or pivots, the story has been set in motion. You simply cannot have an announcement like the one Adam Pearce made and then ignore it. The next several weeks of Raw are going to need to address this in a meaningful way. The fanbase demands it. Second, Seth Rollins is now firmly positioned as one of the most dangerous and compelling heels or anti-heroes on the entire roster. This moment has crystallized his current character arc in a way that months of regular programming couldn't. One segment, one smile, that's all it took. Seth is operating at a level right now where he needs to be in the main event conversation every single week. Third, and this is the one I find most intriguing, where does this leave the wider landscape? Paul Heyman's relationships within WWE are vast and complicated. The ripple effects of his absence, even if temporary, could reshape alliances, create new power vacuums, and open doors for characters who have been waiting in the wings. This could be the spark that ignites an entirely new chapter of WWE storytelling. And fourth, Paul Heyman himself. Even in absence, even off-screen, Paul Heyman is a story engine. The man doesn't have to be physically present to drive a narrative. His name alone carries weight. And if and when he returns, whether next week or months from now, that return will be one of the most anticipated moments of the entire year. Look, I've been covering WWE for a long time on this channel, and moments like this, moments that genuinely make you stop, sit forward, and say, wait, what just happened? Those moments are what make professional wrestling unlike anything else in the world of entertainment. Paul Heyman is a once-in-a-generation talent. Seth Rollins is a once-in-a-generation performer. And when those two worlds collide in this kind of explosive, emotionally charged way, we, as wrestling fans, are witnessing history in real time. Whether you're a lifelong WWE fan or someone who's just discovering the product, this is the kind of story that reminds you why you fell in love with wrestling in the first place. The drama, the spectacle, the emotion. Nobody does it like WWE. Nobody does it like Paul Heyman. And right now, nobody does it like Seth Rollins. So what do you think? Do you think this is the end of Paul Heyman's on-screen run, or is this all part of a bigger plan? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. I read every single one. If you enjoyed this video, please smash the like button. It genuinely helps this channel more than you know. Subscribe if you haven't already, hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload, and share this video with every wrestling fan you know, because this story